Welcome to Coaching Over Coffee. This training is about artist statements, and we go over what artist statements are, what they're not, how you should write them paragraph by paragraph, and we provide examples of 3 artist statements, including one of my own at the end. This live training happened in our Facebook group, The Art of Selling Art, and you can join that Facebook group. It's free. It's in the comment, or the link to is in the comments below. Join the group. You'll have access to me and access to my team of coaches, as well as the ability to join these conversations live and also ask for specific trainings based on whatever is going on in your art business. The link to that is below. It's a pretty chill group. It's just a community of artists, and I'm looking forward to having you and many more artists in that group because we all grow together and inspiration doesn't happen in a vacuum. After this training, follow the link to the Facebook group. And if you have any questions about this specific training, about artist statements, the best place to ask is in the Facebook group, just because there's so many places for my attention to be divided. And if I'm working on my own art business, as well as helping artists develop their art businesses, it's easier if all the questions are in one place. All right. I do check the YouTube often, just not as often as I'm in the Facebook group. So I'll see you there, and I hope this training helps you, and I look forward to seeing some of your artist statements in our group where we can review them and give you some spot-on feedback. Cheers. All right, so crafting compelling artist statements. Now, if you are a member of Artist Selling Art and you're checking out this video, there is a whole artist statement tutorial video or a whole module, and in that, you know that there are 4 artist statements that I really suggest we all have. So most of us know about the artist statement and about the sort of our artist bio, right? But what we really need to know is that there are 4 ways that we are communicating our story with people, and each of those ways has a different purpose and a different method of storytelling. Okay, so there's 4 artist statements, and they are the artist statement, which is what most of you are trying to accomplish all the time, and that's the one that we're talking about today. There's the bio statement, and the bio statement contextualizes the artist in an academic way. The artist statement explains the art academically. The story bio humanizes you, the artist. It brings you and it makes you a person that people can learn to like and to feel that they are connecting with you in some way. Okay. And then the why statement humanizes the art itself. So where does the art come from? What is the art about? That's what the why statement is. And the why statement is really what people connect with. So the story bio lets people connect with you. The why statement lets people connect with why you create and your art in general. Excuse me. But the artist statement itself is really specific. So the artist statement is not. Let's talk about what it's not, because I see a lot of this in the comments to the anticipation post we shared earlier. The artist statement is not a story about you, right? The artist statement is not a biography, and it doesn't contain anything that's irrelevant to the art. So an artist statement should encompass what it is an academic statement about a specific body of work, a specific curated body of work that is that's up to you, like what body of work you choose to add to your statement, but it should be a cohesive body of work that all points toward one idea or one subject matter. All right. And your artist statement is specifically about that body of work. Okay. So it's not a biography. A few people in the comments already have left a few examples of their artist statements, and it starts out with who they are and where they're from. And that's what your bio is for. Okay. That's what your bio is for. Your artist statement should be concise and meaningful, and again, about a specific body of work. So we'll go over a few artist statements at the end of this. Like we have my transitional artist statement, and then we have a few other examples. So what you'll see though when we get there is they are specifically about. I can't stress this enough, because if you're submitting your artwork to like an art competition, I know a lot of artists are talking about the jury competitions that they're going to be a part of for the next art show that they want to be, present in, and you may not get that assignment because when this jury person or this curator of sorts goes um to read your artist statement, they're immediately thrown off from what it is they're supposed to be uh, consuming, what they're supposed to be learning about this body of work that they're looking, because it starts off with something that's not relevant. All right. So an artist statement is not for everyday use. Right. Your artist statement is not something you throw out there. I don't even have my artist statement on my website, right? Because my artist statement is specifically for a body of work. So I use the artist statement to submit to different shows or different juried events or art competitions, but my website gets the stories because that's what people connect with. You know, a lot of artists disparage artist statements because they think they're like this. They're utterly incomprehensible and full of fluff and crazy meaningless statements, right? Um, and I think a lot of the general public feels the same way. So instead of delivering them an academic statement, because nobody wants to go somewhere and learn unless they're specifically choosing to be in a learning environment, my website delivers stories, right? Not the actual artist statement. So it's not for everyday use and it's not going to be applicable to everything you do, right? Like I said, it's a specific curated body of work that you're submitting for something that you're presenting to a a, a committee of some sort. And like I've been a photographer for 20 almost 20 years. Damn, I'm old. Almost 20 years. So like I have portraits and I have landscapes that are in my actual portfolio. And then I have like travel photography that I just because I walk around with the camera, I take pictures and some of them are good. But they don't but my artist statement doesn't really apply to everything. If I take pictures of my cat, is my artist statement going to apply? It's not. So if this is making sense to you guys or clarifying a few things, let me know in the comments. Just type like a Y or something, or if you have a question, put in the comments and we'll address it. But your artist statement does not apply to everything you do. If you write an artist statement and it is a blanket statement about all of your work, then you know immediately that it's wrong. Okay. So there's your clue. Okay, so what should your artist statement include? Your artist statement should, or what are the attributes that an effective artist statement should include? It'll provide clarity on the body of work. There is um, what I call like a malady in the art world where people think that the art should explain itself. And it doesn't, it shouldn't, and it shouldn't have to. Okay, you should be able to articulate your ideas in writing and without, in writing and through the art, but also, the in writing. Should happen in both. So your artist statement should provide clarity on your artwork. Your artist statement should be sincere, right? Sincerity, authenticity, like those things should be included in your artist statement, which means that your artist statement needs to be written in your words. It needs to be written in like a humanistic form. Like so a lot of people I see artist statements that are like super aloof. They use big language, big flowery poetic prose or whatnot. And usually those all of that is just fluff, right? And it's not authentic to the type of person that usually is writing it. If you if your work consistently contains that type of writing, that type of poetry, or that type of like prosaic um context in the way you write, then yeah, your artist statement should include that. But if you don't typically think or write that way, then it wouldn't be authentic for you to suddenly conjure that up into an artist statement. And usually what I see a lot of is this. Like someone who is not used to speaking or writing that way writes that way for the artist statement, and then it's just incomprehensible. It doesn't make any sense. Right? The artist statement should connect to the art. So again, articulating your ideas, the artist statement should be able to take something that's visually laid out and explain it to the person. So there should be that connection. And then the other half of that bridge, like it's a bridge with three pillars, the other side of that bridge is connecting the art to you. Okay. And letting people understand that this is what it means in this creation. And this is why the artist made that creation, all right, or made this body of work. So these four things are really important. And this is what your artist statement, the attributes of your artist statement. So let me give you an outline for writing an artist statement. All right. Is there anything in there, anything in the group so far? Nada? Okay. So Where was I? Okay. So your audit statement should, if it's simple, it should be about 1 page. Okay, I think I put that in here somewhere, but you want your audit statement to be about 1 page. You want to be able to hand it to someone on a single page so that they can read it and then enjoy the art, right? So it's not a long statement, right? And you can break that up into 4 paragraphs, 5 paragraphs, but I have here generally an outline. So paragraph one should be the inspiration and history if it's relevant. Okay, so if there's some sort of historical element that you must explain in order to explain the inspiration, then include that in your artist statement. But if not, then don't include it. It's not a big deal. But the inspiration for the art is paragraph one. Paragraph two is the influences that made the art. All right, the influences on you as the artist that inspired you to create this. Right. So there's 2 steps. So step one is the inspiration. So I was inspired by the love of cats, right? So that's why this body work. So that's paragraph one. Paragraph, I didn't just say that because my cat sleeps on my desk. Paragraph two is the style and how your style was influenced. And a lot of artists don't have a classical art education or any art education at all. And this is normally where classical artist statements would include the inspirations that people learn from. So like artistic influences, like if you were interested by Monet and your style comes from his style, or your style comes from the Impressionists or the Hudson Valley School of Art or something, this is where you would include that, the influences in the art. But if you don't have that classical education, and if you can't reference those specific art movements or things like that, then don't try to. Okay. You can say that your influences come from something more modern, come from the styles you see on social media, come from um, the way you like darkness in art, or the way you like expressing yourself in a dark. I don't know why I'm leaning towards dark right now, but the way you're leaning towards something. So you can share the inspiration of the art without trying to uh, go outside of the scope of your experience, right? Like I don't have a classical art education either, so I don't really quote that type of like I don't even know. I'm just saying art history too much, but I don't need to quote those type of influences in order to quote where the inspiration of the art came from, right? So just don't feel bad about not having that. I guess that's my point. Paragraph three, the process of the technique. Okay, how did you make the art? And how is how you made it relevant to the outcome of the art, right? How did you make it? And how is how you make it relevant? For some of us, that's not really important, but if it is, then you should include it. For instance, if your art is about recycling and preserving nature, right, then you will include in here part of the process of picking up driftwood from beaches or visiting recycling factories or recycling um, transfer plants in order to find your raw materials. That's where this would go if it's important, right? If it's a something more simple, it doesn't go that to that extreme, then you don't need to. But generally, keep it simple, stupid. That's what KISS means. Keep it simple, stupid, right? Keep it simple, but be clear and articulate as much as needed if it's needed. And I keep saying this, I keep going back to if it's needed. So if the process influences the outcome, or if you have artistic influences from art history or historical artists. And I'm saying if, and I'm stressing if, because if you don't have that if, then don't include it. You'll just sound stupid. And I guess I hate to be that blunt about it, but if you don't, then the jury member who probably has an art education or has been around long enough to know when someone is kind of faking it, they're going to see that. And it's better just to not try to fake it. And again, I'm saying this and I'm kicking the bucket on this because I see it a lot, right? And then conclusion. So, what do you want viewers to see or experience or feel? This is what the conclusion should include. And if there is a statement about the future of this body of work, then you can include it. If the body of work is completed, or if you don't actually have a plan for what's going to happen a year down the line or 6 months down the line, then you don't need to include that in your conclusion statement, right? So 4 paragraphs, that's all you need to write an artist statement. Let's look at a few, right? I have two that I just made up, and then I have one for my actual body of work. And we have about 12 minutes to get through all that. Da. All right. Okay, Echoes of Nature. As an artist deeply inspired by the natural world, my work seeks to capture the ephemeral and often overlooked moments of beauty in our environment. Though a blend of traditional oil painting and modern digital techniques, I strive to create a dialogue between the enduring majesty of nature and the fleeting moments of the space. Okay, so that's paragraph one. Paragraph two, each piece in my collection represents a personal journey and a snapshot of my interaction with the natural landscapes that have left an indelible mark on my soul. All right. So where does his inspiration come from? It just comes from nature, which is enough for most of us. All right. If your inspiration came from what you learned about the history of Van Gogh and Van Gogh's specific techniques for using this one technique or another, that's where this would go here. Okay. But if you don't have that, then again, don't try to insert it. The textures in my paintings, from the roughness of the tree bark to the smoothness of nature, are part of the narrative of the visual imagery itself. And this is what I mean. So when you have uh, when the process is relevant to the outcome, then you can put it into your body somewhere. All right. My creative process is both meditative and dynamic. It begins with spending time in nature, observing, sketching, and photographing. Okay. What's really important about this paragraph, and some of you may remember this from like high school writing, is we have a topic sentence, and then from the topic sentence, we break down what that means. So this sentence or this paragraph is going to be about his creative process, and it's going to be about how it's meditative and dynamic. So the rest of this paragraph should only talk about the things mentioned in this first sentence. So it begins with spending time in nature. Back in my studio, the sketches transform into larger compositions where the dance of light and shadow plays a crucial role. The final artwork is not just a visual representation, but an emotional response to the beauty and the fragility of the world. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this statement is so general, it could apply to almost everyone who does anything that's nature related. So what do we want people to feel? The collection is an invitation to view, pause, reflect, and find a personal connection with the environment. My goal is to remind us that the preciousness of the natural world and responsibility to protect and cherish it. Okay, so this is our conclusion and what we want people to feel. And that's it. So you can imagine that this guy's or girl's body of work is something that is large format artwork that has a crucial part of the composition is the shadows or the way he or she uses shadows to direct the eye around the composition, right? So that's what, this Echoes of Nature collection should be about. And I'll copy this and let me know if this is helpful or not, or if you need me to clarify. I'm going to put this into the comment section for people. So that's the first one. And then here's another one. So urban rhythms. My current series, Urban Rhythms, or in my current series, Urban Rhythms, notice something. I'm reading something I wrote and I'm skimming it, right? And the average person is going to skim the content on your website. So if your content is filled with a lot of fluff, uh, here's how people's brains work. If they're reading this, they're going to read the first sentence or they're going to skim the first sentence and then decide if the rest of the sentence or the rest of the paragraph is worth spending their energy reading. So every first sentence is a topic sentence that should have a hook of some kind, right? Or should have some captivating, um, interest-bearing subject matter so that people can have a reason to dig deeper, right? So even me, like I'm sitting here reading something that I wrote, and then I end up skimming it, and that's how people view your websites and view all of your content. So you have to keep giving people a reason to go forward, especially today when we're all so distracted. So remind myself to slow down. I explore the vibrant energy and hidden narratives of city life through a mix of street photography and abstract expressionism. My canvas is the urban landscape, and where every street corner, shadow, and face tells a story. My aim is not just to capture the physicality of the city, but its pulse, its rhythm, and its soul. All right. So again, paragraph two, and I'll just copy this and put it into the comments. Um, my work is deeply influenced by my background in architecture and my fascination with urban sociology. All right. So this tells us a little bit about the artist, that they have taken or have some interest in sociology or in some education in psychology. And this is where his work comes from. I use my lens I keep saying he because I wrote this, but it could be anyone. Um, Lens to dissect the layers of urban spaces, focusing on low light, shadow, and color to interact with these environments. So how is it shot? All right. The process begins with hours of walking city streets camera in hand, capturing fleeting moments in my studio. These photographs are transformed. All right. So at my studio in my desk. Um, wherever your creative place is. If it's on an iPad, then I would probably say something just like in my studio. These photographs are transformed through digital manipulation and hand-painted elements. I blend realism and abstraction. This is kind of a crucial thing that I have in here because a lot of photographers in general like to overinflate this process with some terms or some abstract terminology about the digital darkroom or digital painting or whatever. All you do is digital manipulation and hand-painted elements, if hand-painted elements even applies. And that's enough, right? Keep it simple. I blend realism with abstraction, inviting the viewer to look beyond the facade and feel the underlying stories and emotions of urban life. So I would expect that this artwork has a more creative flair than a direct photograph or a portrait series because of what he's saying with the abstraction and looking past and the hand-painted elements, right? Urban Rhythms is an ode to the city, its complexity, its chaos, and its beauty. Through my art, this is what I want people to feel. That's it. 4 paragraphs. This is, I don't know how to pull up a character counter, but I think it's under 500 characters and really simple. And this is only about urban rhythms. I imagine that this fictional person would also have photographs of landscapes and also have portraits of their cat and portraits of their friends that don't fit into this body of work and are therefore not included in the presentation under this uh, description of their art under this artist statement. Okay, so let's go over some mistakes to avoid, and I'll check back for a few questions, and then I think we'll cut it there. So mistakes to avoid: overly complex language. You can't fancy your way into clarity. You can't fancy your way into being articulate. All right, and articulation is super important. People find a visual that they're attracted to, and then they fall in love with the ideas that you share. Okay, the ideas behind your art and who you are. And they do that through reading or through watching videos. And in either way, they need to be, you need to be able to articulate your mind, your thoughts, and you can't fancy your way out of that. Okay. The opposite of that is vagueness. So if you stay very vague with your work, then people are just going to fill in the blanks with their own ideas. And in some cases, that's not a terrible thing. But in other cases, people will put ideas in your mouth, and you don't want people to put words in your mouth, right? Length, keep it on 1 page. Your artist statement should not go more than 1 page. Um, I should have had the text from the artist statement that we saw in Basel. That would have taken us a half hour to read, but it was terrible, basically. Anyway, so connection. Does the description connect to you? Is the description connected to you? Is it relatable and is it believable? Okay. And a lot of believability comes with, the language you use. Um, Notice that none of these artist statements talked about the history of the artist, talked about like where they were born or when someone gave them a paintbrush. This is specifically about a body of work. All right. So mistakes to avoid. Who is this statement intended for? If it's intended for a jury, then give it to the jury. If it's intended for a general audience, then you probably want to do something that's more story based, right? If it's intended for an art show or a an online art exhibit, right? You're gonna change the way it's written. So each artist statement is kind of a living subject, right? So the last one is here, not revising your artist statement. So if you have a core artist statement that's about your body of work, and you use that and you update it for different submissions. So, if you're going to submit your body of work to a the jury of a actual art fair, right? Then you're going to tailor it for whatever their needs are. If you're going to submit an artist statement to a juror or committee, and the committee is full of prominent artists or prominent curators, then you're probably going to curate it for them, right? So you could even go and look at who is going to be your specific juror. So there'll be a juror for each body of work that's going to go into this larger exhibition, and get an idea of their history, and then tailor your artist statement so that it's more relatable to them, right? And that's a really good way of getting into the final revisions of a curator culling artist to fit into a show. Half-assing it. I see so many half-assed artist statements. I see artist statements that people did one pass on and then didn't proofread it, didn't give it to a friend to have a read at it, didn't toss it into Chat GPT for general edits or improvements. Um, if you half-ass it, then someone who whole-assed it is going to get ahead of you. All right. So there's a bunch of ways that you can customize, um, or what am I trying to say? There's a bunch of ways you can take your artist statement and and deliver it to different audiences. Um, just make sure, number one, that it's simple and direct and specifically about the body of work. Okay, so just swinging back through, taking a quick look. Thanks for all the comments, guys. Sorry, Ross, you couldn't join. Hmm? Oh yeah, I think he said he wanted to join the live though. Like, but yeah. Sometimes we have people up, but a half hour is really hard to cram a lot of information into. So yeah, if there's any last minute questions, shoot them into this right here, and I'll hang out for another like 4 or 5 minutes. And until that comes up, I will share one of my artist statements. So this is one of you, I call it a transitional artist statement. And I had to write this a while ago because I started going from being solely a landscape photographer to incorporating um, my aria collection, my portrait work, into my official portfolio, for lack of a better term. So I needed to kind of explain that to people. So this is just what I call a transitional. So this is how my work is connected, even though they're wholly different subject matters, landscapes versus figurative art. So this statement, I'll give it a quick read, and y'all can criticize the shit out of it if you want. All right. For the past 16 years, my journey through photography has been intimate exploration of inspiration and reflection. In a world where the external increasingly encroaches upon our inner stillness, my work seeks to reclaim that sacred space of solitude. This journey began with charcoal sketches, evolved through landscape photography, and now has found its deepest expression in intimate portraits. Okay, so I kind of had to go from um, where I came from to where I'm going. And I think that this was for a competition that I submitted both bodies of work into. So my latest endeavor, the Aria collection, is a multimedia tapestry weaving together photography, acrylic paint, digital media, gold foils, and textiles. Each aria commences with a classically composed scene, a model, textiles, a set. Post-photography, the pieces undergo a transformation through digital painting and editing, including abstractions that embody the complexities of self-perception and external perception. So this explains why there's pieces in my art that look kind of broken. The culmination of this process is printed on photo rag, enriched with acrylic paints and foil accents, following a Fibonacci spiral that symbolizes our innermost struggles and insecurities. So again, I'm just trying to quickly explain why there are different elements in my art, right? These arias are not just artworks, they're stories. They represent the interplay of my relationships. So this is going into the inspiration. I don't have like, I guess I could quote like Caravaggio or Asensio or some of these other classical painters that really did influence the Aria collection. But instead of going into name dropping, I just went into the inspirations that come from my own life to inspire this body of work. So it comes from the interplay of my relationships, the personalities of the models, and the music that inspires each piece, inspires and titles. In every aria, I capture a moment of motion, a frozen tableau of emotion and energy, and with each piece resonating with a specific period or emotion in my life. The use of color is deliberate, establishing the duality present in each image, and the power and vulnerability, beauty and obscurity, passion and detachment. Okay, so these are the themes that are in the work. My work is a testament to the power of confronting and embracing our inner conflicts. It underscores the importance of preserving our mental and emotional space to heal and to grow as my artistic journey continues. All right, so this first half is about what I want people to feel. And then the second half is where this collection is going, right? As my artistic journey continues, I am excited to see how the two themes in my work intersect and give birth to new creations. And it's pretty cool because I could take this artist statement and then I can compare it to something like the Sundance collection that I did. That's an NFT collection because that is basically the intersection of isolation and portraits, um, and the human experience. So this is a transitional artist statement. So that's my spiel. I'll include this in the comments as well. And for those of you watching and watching on the replay, you can just take any one of these statements and use them as a template, right? And then customize them for yourself. Any chance of getting the doc? Well, this is kind of like my personal note-taking doc, so probably just print them to PDF or something. All right. Yeah, that's a good idea. So if you want this document, then just leave a comment below. Just say, hey, send me the doc, and then we'll send you a DM with the PDF. All right. So there you go. You're welcome, Deb. I'm stoked that there's a bunch of people here for this last one, this in between moment. Um, yeah, and I think that if we're good to go, then next week's coaching. This is Ali flexing. All right. Let me see. Here is my own content calendar for TASA. And next week we're talking about it's either going to be building an effective portfolio or pricing strategies for your art. So that's what we'll talk about next week. Um, I don't know, which one do you guys want to hear about? There's 10 of you here. So do you want to talk about pricing strategies or do you want to talk about effective portfolio building? I could go on for hours about either or. I can kind of imagine that most of you can say pricing strategies, but there's more, you know, for more Basel, it was kind of like, I don't know, pricing strategies is all over the place, but we can talk about that later. So what do you guys want to talk about? Pricing strategies or pricing or building an effective art portfolio? You can let me know in the comments. Ooh, effective portfolios, portfolio building. Wow. Not what I expected to hear. Okay. Well, then I will do that. All right, guys, I'm out. We're gonna do New Year's, I think, in the fireworks. Might actually go outside, brave COVID, and I will see you all next week.